Hey guys, today we're talking about something super cool. Fungi. Yeah, those mushrooms you toss on pizza or spot in the woods. They're literally just the tip of the iceberg. Turns out fungi are way more complex, mysterious, and seriously mind-blowing than most people realize. I mean, they've been around forever, and they've literally helped shape life on Earth as we know it. These things are like nature's secret superheroes that nobody talks about enough. So, what are fungi? They are not plants and they're not animals either. They've got their own kingdom, and they're pretty ancient and mysterious, thriving everywhere from forest floors to that forgotten corner of your fridge. You might think fungi are just mushrooms, but those are only the fruiting bodies like apples on a tree, popping up to release spores and start new growth. The real star of the show is underground, a sprawling network of tiny threads called mycelium. Picture it as nature's internet, connecting plants, trees, and other fungi to share nutrients, water, and even warnings about predators. Unlike plants, fungi don't photosynthesize. They break down dead stuff, leaves, wood, even rocks, using enzymes to dissolve it and soak up the goodies. Kind of like how animals eat, but totally unique. As nature's recyclers, they turn decay into rich soil, keeping ecosystems from drowning in debris. And they don't stop there. Fungi form ancient partnerships with plants, trading water and nutrients for sugars in a secret underground deal that keeps forests alive. For us humans, they've been game changers too, quietly shaping history with bread and beer, life-saving drugs like penicillin, and even mind-bending breakthroughs from psychedelic mushrooms used in ancient rituals and modern therapy. But wait, it gets wilder. Fungi can talk to each other with chemical signals, and some even remember things like droughts or attacks, adapting like brainless geniuses. From decomposing to communicating to engineering ecosystems, fungi are nature's ultimate multitaskers. And they're way more than pizza toppings. Best of all, we're still uncovering their secrets, so stick with us as we dive deeper into the incredible world of fungi throughout this video. Imagine rewinding the clock. Way back, millions of years ago. Earth's land was pretty much a barren wasteland. Plants were trying to ditch the oceans and set up shop on solid ground. But they ran into a problem. They had no clue how to pull nutrients out of rocks and soil. It's like trying to start a garden with no tools or seeds. That's when fungi rolled up and said, "Hey, plants, let's team up." Here's the deal they struck. Fungi would supply plants with key nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen, stuff plants desperately needed to grow. In return, plants would toss some sugars their way, made fresh from photosynthesis. This teamwork, known as mycorrhizal symbiosis, kicked off over 450 million years ago. It's like the ultimate long-term collaboration, still going strong today. And get this, over 90% of plants you see around you, trees, flowers, you name it, still rely on fungi to get by, and without fungi, plants never would have conquered land. And life as we know it, poof, gone. Fungi are the unsung heroes keeping the whole show running. But they don't just stop at the basics. Fungi take it up a notch by spreading their mycelium. These thread-like networks, way beyond where plant roots can reach. They're out there scouting for nutrients and water, even giving plants a heads up about pests or diseases. Fungi are basically the plant world's bodyguard, delivery service, and alarm system all rolled into one. And here's where it gets wild. Plants and fungi are constantly talking. If fungi bring extra nutrients to the table, plants might reward them with more sugar. But if fungi slack off, plants can hold back. It's like a negotiation game where both sides keep each other in check, a partnership that's been humming along for millions of years. Now, let's zoom into what this looks like in a forest. Picture yourself strolling through the trees, and right under your feet, there's this insane underground network called the Wood Wide Web. It's the fungal mycelium linking up trees and plants, letting them share resources and chat like it's nature's own internet. Here's how it plays out. Say an older tree's got plenty of nutrients and water to spare. Through the Wood Wide Web, it can pass some of that goodness to a younger tree that's struggling. It's like a forest support system. The big guy's looking out for the little ones, and it's not just about handouts. Trees can also send warning signals through the network. If one's getting hit by pests, it'll ping its neighbors like, "Yo, bugs incoming, gear up." It's basically a group chat for survival. But hold up, there's a twist. Some plants like the ghost plant, Monotropa if you want to get fancy, have cracked the code to cheat the system. These sneaky little guys don't bother with photosynthesis. Instead, they plug into the fungal network and siphon off nutrients without giving anything back. Shady, but you've got to admit, it's kind of brilliant. The Wood Wide Web is this perfect showcase of how fungi and plants team up in nature. And it's not just about scraping by, it's about thriving together. Fungi are the ultimate connectors, tying the forest into one big living community. One of the coolest things about mushrooms is that they're like nature's ultimate cleanup crew. Their whole deal is breaking down dead stuff, plants, animals, even rocks, and turning it into nutrients that keep everything else alive. If they didn't do their job, we'd be wading through piles of dead trees, rotting leaves, and all kinds of nasty junk. The earth would basically turn into a giant, stinky landfill. Now here's a crazy fact to chew on. About 300 million years ago, during this time called the Carboniferous period, fungi hadn't figured out how to break down something called lignin. That's the tough, woody part of trees. So when trees died back then, they didn't rot. They just stacked up like a massive log pile, and over millions of years, those piles turned into coal. Yeah, the coal we used to power factories and trains, that's partly because fungi were still learning the ropes. But once they cracked the lignin code, they stopped all that coal from building up and kept the planet from turning into a total mess. But fungi aren't just about old school recycling, they're also tackling the junk we leave behind. Think oil spills, pesticides, even radioactive waste. After the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, scientists found fungi growing in the middle of that radioactive chaos. And they weren't just sitting there, they were chowing down on the radiation, breaking it down like it was a buffet. This cleanup superpower makes fungi a big deal for fixing polluted spots. Picture sending them out to mop up oil spills in the ocean, or clean up soil trashed by factories. People are already testing them on stuff like plastic waste, heavy metals, and toxic chemicals. It's like fungi are waiting for us to toss them a challenge and say, "Hey, can you deal with this too?" Scientists and innovators are finding wild new uses for fungi, and it's like they're nature's Swiss Army knife. First up, architecture. Yup, I'm talking buildings. People are messing around with mushroom-based materials made from mycelium. This stuff is strong, light, and breaks down naturally when you're done with it. Imagine living in a house made of mushrooms. Sounds insane, right? But it's real. Companies are already using mycelium to make eco-friendly furniture, insulation, and even building blocks. Regular stuff like concrete pumps out tons of carbon emissions. Fungi could help us build a greener world, one mushroom brick at a time. Fungi are also being used to whip up biodegradable plastic that actually disappears instead of haunting landfills for centuries. Scientists are turning fungi into replacements for things like packaging and disposable forks. Plus, some fungi can eat the plastic trash we've already made. They found species that can munch on polyurethane, one of the toughest plastics out there. So fungi aren't just cleaning up our mess, they're reshaping the future. From breaking down pollution to revolutionizing construction and sustainable materials, these incredible organisms are proving they're more than just nature's recyclers. As scientists keep unlocking their potential, fungi might just be the key to tackling some of our biggest environmental challenges. Did you know mushrooms and other fungi have been secretly shaping human history for ages? These guys have been total game changers in ways you've probably never even thought about. Let's kick things off with something we all love: bread and booze. Thousands of years ago, people figured out how to use yeast, which is a type of fungus, to turn grains and fruits into tasty stuff like bread and beer. This was a massive deal. It wasn't just about having fluffy bread or a cold drink. It actually changed how we live. Thanks to fermentation, early humans could keep food longer, get more nutrients, and even start hanging out together over meals and drinks. Yeast basically helped us go from wandering around as hunter-gatherers to settling down as farmers. When speaking of game changers, let's not forget penicillin. Back in 1928, a scientist named Alexander Fleming was studying bacteria in his lab when he noticed something weird. He'd left a petri dish uncovered, and a mold called penicillium, probably floating in through an open window, started growing on it. But here's the kicker: wherever the mold spread, the bacteria around it died. Fleming realized this mold was releasing something that killed germs, which he later named penicillin. This accidental discovery gave us the first antibiotic, turning once deadly infections into treatable problems and saving millions of lives. But hold up, it gets even crazier. Fungi didn't just stop at bread and beer and medicine, they might have messed with our minds too. Some scientists think that magic mushrooms, the ones with stuff like psilocybin, could have actually helped shape how humans think. There's evidence from way back, like ancient cave paintings and old artifacts, that show early humans might have used these mushrooms in spiritual or religious ceremonies. Take the Tassili cave paintings in Algeria. They're from around 9000 BC and show people with what look like mushrooms sprouting from their bodies. Some experts think this means our ancestors were using psychedelic mushrooms to connect with gods or explore different states of mind. Now, this idea is still pretty out there and not everyone agrees, but it's wild to think about. Could mushrooms have been the spark for human creativity, spirituality, or even realizing we are who we are. Some folks, like this ethnobotanist Terence McKenna, even think that psilocybin mushrooms helped our brains grow super fast millions of years ago. It's a big claim, and we might never know for sure, but it's definitely something to chew on. Fungi also help shaping cultures around the world. From ancient times to now, they've been a big deal. In traditional Chinese medicine, mushrooms like rhizae and cordyceps have been used for ages to help people live longer and healthier. Over in Central America, the Aztecs and Maya used psychedelic mushrooms in their sacred rituals to talk to their gods. And today, scientists are looking into how psilocybin can help with mental health stuff like depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So whether it's through the food we eat, the medicine we take, or even those mind-bending trips, fungi have left a huge mark on human history, and it's honestly kind of mind-blowing. They've been our buddies, our healers, and maybe even our guides. And let's be real, that's pretty amazing for something we usually just think about when it's topping our pizza. So we've been chatting about how cool fungi are, but let's flip the script for a second. There's a darker side to these guys. They're not always the heroes of the story. Some fungi are straight up troublemakers. Take the honey fungus for instance. It goes after trees, sucking out their nutrients and water until they're totally done for. Farmers and foresters have thrown everything at it to stop it, but it's tough as nails. It's like the Terminator of the plant world. Just keeps on coming, but hold up. It's not just trees that need to watch out. Fungi can hit up animals too. And yeah, that includes us humans. Fungal infections are no small deal. They take out about 1.5 million people every year. These things can cause some serious harm, and some of them are downright freaky. Let's talk about one of the wildest ones, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. This fungus is like something straight out of a scary movie. Actually, it's the fungus that inspired The Last of Us, the video game and TV show, where a fungal outbreak turns people into zombies. But in real life, it goes after ants and turns them into legit zombies. Here's how it plays out. The fungus gets into the ant's head and takes over. It makes the ant climb up high, like to the top of a leaf or a blade of grass. Once it's up there, the fungus finishes the ant off and grows this creepy stalk right out of its body. That stalk pops out spores that rain down on other ants below, kicking off the whole thing again. It's like a zombie takeover ant style. Super cool, but also super creepy. So yeah, fungi can be dangerous, destructive, and flat out spooky, but they're also proof of how wild and varied life on this planet is. They show us that nature's not all sunshine and happy vibes. Sometimes it's more like a thriller flick. And honestly, that's what makes it so interesting. Fungi are like the unexpected twist that keeps the whole story of life rolling. So there you have it. Fungi are way more than just mushrooms. They're ancient, mysterious, and incredibly powerful organisms that have shaped life on Earth in ways we're only beginning to understand. From helping plants grow to cleaning up pollution, fungi are true unsung heroes of the natural world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of fungi, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. And let me know in the comments, what's the most surprising thing you learned about fungi today? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.